first, how do you want me to address you? Do you want me to address you as Lizzie or I don't
Yeah,
know?
Lizzie's totally fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. That's just one of those things because I go by psychotic and I actually do go by psychotic, but my real, and I say that because it's not my given name, is Eric. And so some people are like,
cool.
don't want to call you psychotic because it feels weird. And yeah, it's like the pronouns game. I just make sure I check that first.
Yeah, no, totally.
So this is the Closet of Nonsense. This is episode 6 of season 3 here. I don't know if you've had a chance to check out the podcast at all.
I saw a little bit like on Spotify, and it just seemed like, you just kind of go on whatever it evolves into the conversation.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Awesome. I love it.
We don't believe in censoring, and we don't believe in having a theme.
Awesome. I love it.
The two things are like, I want no theme because we want people to be completely open. And part of that, the reason I originally thought of you, and I'll be honest with you, I thought about reaching out to you like a year ago.
Okay.
Because I actually listen to a lot of your music while I'm editing photos or while I'm drawing.
Cool.
Yeah, awesome. It's really, really, it's something that you can kind of immerse in. It sets a mood really well. There's certain TV shows I can watch. There's some music I can listen to, things like that. But that's one of those things that I really thought about because you don't fit into a category.
Yeah, no.
You have all these different interests. You have all these different things that you do. So you're kind of perfect. But I also was really nervous because the whole idea of being we're still very new as a podcast. Yeah. We don't have a lot of following. We don't have a lot of people.
When did you start?
We started 2.5, 3 years ago, like right before COVID. And it was a group of friends. There were 5 of us that we're just ridiculous when we get in a group and say just random shit to each other. And a couple of us just started recording it so we could send it to each other later as we make memes out of each other, basically.
Yeah.
And then people started catching on like, dude, why don't you make this available? Right. So while we don't have much social media and we don't have a lot of following and people pushing for us, we've got thousands of listeners.
Dude, that's sick.
It's awesome. I really dig it. And I'm extremely grateful to all of our listeners and the people who get involved. And it's random because I'll get people from South Africa, Australia, Germany that are like, oh, I discovered this new musician because of this thing you put on your podcast. And it's like, that's why we do it.
Yeah.
So,
you know what's funny though? So you said you've been doing the podcast for 2-3 years around that time frame.
Uh-huh.
You've been doing it for longer than I've been doing music.
Yeah.
So yeah, because I'm very, very new.
Yeah. Well, but okay, to be fair, you did what a lot of people are scared to do. Didn't you just start recording in studios this year?
Oh yeah. So I've only been to a studio once and it was like a special treat, like a little oh my God. Okay. Cause I do it right behind me.
Yeah.
You can kind of see where I do everything and I do it all myself normally, but there was this one song and I was like, I know I'm going to want to yell and scream and whatever vulgarity on it. And I was like, I don't want to wake up my poor neighbors. So I'm going to go book at a random studio and see what happens. And I happen to really, really like the experience. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the point is you've been DIY and pushing yourself. And I think that's where your success comes from in a huge way because your music is very, very listenable to, and I'm guilty of it. I am one of those people that when people say, oh, I listen to metal or I listen to industrial, I am one of those people like, oh yeah, you think so, right? And when they say things like, yeah, I love Five Finger, or I'm like, ugh. Yeah, and if they listen to industrial and they list as far as 9 Inch Nails or Manson, I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You don't know what it really is, and so I get frustrated. But that's the music snob in me. I've been playing music my whole life, and so I do have that. But you appeal to a lot of my friends, at least that know who you are. It's because you meet that kind of goth, and everywhere from pastel goth and pixie goth to hard goth.
Yeah.
So even the dark wavers. But you also have kind of that poppy metal side that a lot of people that listen to everything from In This Moment to Lady Gaga.
Gaga, my favorite. So I tweeted jokingly the other day that I am Lana Del Rey and Gaga stand first and musician second. That's just one. Like, it's literally me. But no, I really, really appreciate you saying that. Like, that is honestly so heartfelt, and I really, really appreciate that more than anything. And yeah, no, it's really funny because I'm on Cleopatra Records, legendary label. I'm so honored to be with them, but I feel sometimes so kind of funny walking into something because I don't know, there's just so many different levels to what I do, because it's like I'll kind of like shit post like any other 21-year-old on social media, but then you have this part of me that is working with literally Cleopatra on so many cool things. And not that they can't coexist naturally, but it just feels like so multifaceted. And I don't want to say I appeal to, but like I like to think that I appeal to people that are both like my age and who might resonate with stuff that they're like, wait, like I've never really heard this before. What is this? Or maybe a little bit younger than me. But then there are people who know more about Cleopatra, I know more about that part of it, and they're like, oh, like what is this girl doing? She came in through social media, because I didn't know how to do like anything, so I just built my image, and then I was like, I'm gonna build my image kind of relating and building upon what I want people to associate my own music with. And I did that when I was like 14, and I just kind of built from there, because I already knew what I wanted to do, but I was like, I'm going to focus on 8th grade at the time.
Yeah.
And when I turn like 18, 19, hopefully I'll have some form of following where I can release music and they'll like it. But I knew it was what I wanted to do already. So I think it worked out nicely. And I'm really thankful for like Cleopatra for taking a chance on me.
Well, for one, you have a reputable label that tends to actually believe in the artists. That's rare in the music industry.
They do.
I'm notorious for talking shit about the music industry, even though I've been a part of it for 30 years. I do. Yeah. I talk mad shit. Some of my best friends in music have been so fucked over by labels and management that I get. I mean, I started a record label. Have you ever seen the movie Airheads with Brendan Fraser?
I know.
Okay, it's one of those movies that I think every musician. There's a couple movies all musicians should watch. And one is Airheads. Another is That Thing You Do, which is a Tom Hanks movie about a band in the 60s that discovered rock. All musicians should watch that movie. And then obviously Almost Famous is another one. Everyone should watch that one, just because I'm still waiting for it. That's a fictional band that I'm still waiting for the album to come out, because they were that fucking good. But in the thing that got me is in Airheads, Brendan Fraser's character gets a record label deal, thinks it's exactly what he wants, and he looks at it and he goes, no, fuck this, and literally wipes his ass with his own offer.
Right.
And that resonated with me so hard when that movie came out in the late 90s. Right. I was like, oh my God. And I haven't literally done that, but the offers I've been made, I'm like, no, you want to take control of what I'm doing? Fuck you.
Right.
This is art. You want to tell me?
Art should never be regulated.
It shouldn't be forced. Oh, I have to make 3 albums in the next 5 years. I have to do this and this and this according to what you're telling me to do. No.
Right.
I don't play that game. I never have. And luckily, I was in bands with people who agreed with me, who felt the same way. That's pretty rare in itself too. So I started a record label in 2001 because I was so pissed off at the record industry. And I've been laughed at. I've been told you're a joke, but I have the same distribution as Sony and everybody else. And we're very DIY. And our big thing is we just lead people to making sure they can take care of themselves.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not I've never taken a dime from it. I've never tried to make money from it. Nobody who's been involved in the label has tried to make a profit. We're literally a bunch of artists trying to help artists.
That's cool.
And there are some labels out there that I'm like, okay, they're doing the right thing. Cleopatra's on a very short list.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So, I'm really, really thankful for them. And like how that came about, it was just so nonchalant. And I'm the kind of person, I tend to get really, really detail focused. And like when they say take it day by day, I take that way too literally. And I focus on little details so much to when I just overanalyze everything to where I want things to work out in such a specific way, to the point where they don't. But then as soon as I stop caring, something so wonderful and like just good that fits just happens. And I'm like, damn, I should really do that more often. I should really step back and not care so much more often, because as soon as I started doing that, dude, I was like in bed super sick with like pneumonia or some like mystery ailment earlier this year, right around my birthday, when I received a Twitter DM from them, and they were like, hey, we would have reached out sooner. We just like thought that you had a label / team already. And I was like, dude, no, I have no one. And thankfully my manager, his name is Jeremy Saffer, he reached out like the same week or something around that time, because him and I were friends. We had shot before, and he was like, wait a minute, you don't have a manager, do you? And I was like, yeah.
I'm a huge Jeremy fan, actually. I've met the man once in passing while we were both shooting a concert. I've been following his career forever. Actually, Tara has been on this podcast.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Yeah. I love Tara.
She's amazing. That woman inspires me every fucking day.
She's so sweet.
Yeah, she's just one of those people. The fact that she's so strong and pushes so hard, like I just admire the fuck out of that. They're an unknown power couple. That's how I describe them.
I know, right?
They're legitimately like, if more people knew, that's what we should be following as a power couple, not the Kanyes and Kardashians of the world, but them, because they're honest to God good people who believe in what they're doing and the people they're doing it for.
I think the purity and the integrity of what people who are so true to what they do, like Tara and like Jeremy, will always prevail over any kind of facade.
Exactly.
And yeah, you know, I think it'll always
prevail. Real wins.
My mom, she always said the cream will always rise to the top, in reference more so to like, not baking, but like cooking and baking, making coffee and whatever. Because the purity and what's good will always rise
push
to the
through.
top.
Yeah. It's true. And yeah, there's some people in these industries that you can truly look up to and admire and know that they're 100% real. And it's nice to see that. And the thing about Jeremy, more than almost any other, not just photographer, but person in the music industry, he only surrounds himself with quality people.
Yeah. He's a really good like mentor for me to have, and for me to have met him like for the first time I was like 20 and I didn't know anybody, and he was one of the best people for me to meet like in the very beginning.
He and I have so many friends in common, it's ridiculous. Like I honestly feel like a dickhead because I don't know the man. I mean I do admire him and I'm kind of a fan, but I don't know him. I've never spoken to him more than, hey, nice to meet you, I'm set up over here, you know.
Yeah.
And he, you know, hey, excuse me, I need to, that just the regular photography pitch bullshit. That's
right.
But we have so many friends in common and have for so many years, and we've never connected. But that's something I realized because of people. Like I actually realized it during the MySpace days, but I realized it even more because as we've moved on now, that this world, as big as it is and as connected as we can be, it's a very small world once you get to a certain level.
It is so small.
Everybody knows each other, and everybody. I mean, I follow you on a couple of my different Twitter accounts, and I think it's hilarious because I'll see one side of what you post, and I'm actually going to get into your social media pretty specific here.
Okay, cool, deep dive.
There's some identifying markers that are very specifically you that I want to kind of not just like call you out, but like kind of call out the rest of people who aren't paying attention. If you want to know how to create a brand, they should be learning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you should teach classes on how to create brand. But like if I'm on my clothing line one, I see stuff that's more related to, say, the goth scene and less your music. Like when you launched your own store, it showed up on my timeline and all this. Whenever you talk to Sasha or Dieter or any of them, I see that on that.
Yeah.
When you're talking music or you're talking, you show up on my record label feed. When you're talking about like, oh, I got to shoot or I got to go do this or I'm at this. I see a lot of pictures of you with cars on my photography feed.
We'll get into the car thing.
It's like you're three completely different fucking people.
Yeah.
And
I'm like 10. Dude, wait until we get into it.
Well, that's the best part, though, is that it allows me to see you've created this brand that's so specifically you that it's like you're one of those what are they called when it's like when you do a map and you do the different webs out in the different ways and it all leads back to one area, ends up looking like a daffodil or like a flower. Like it loops out, but it comes back here, and then it goes here, and then it comes back here.
Like a blooming onion.
Yeah, that's what your persona has created in my mind. That's how I see it. And so when you talk about being in like 8th grade, like people laugh at me because of the psychotic thing. They're like, "Oh, why are you called that?" Well, because that's what everybody used to scream while I was playing. That guy's a fucking psycho. And so I just adopted the name. But I pretty much live it. Like, I am this person. There's no bullshit to me. Like, my shtick, every band I've been in, our shtick is there's no shtick. Now, does that mean I haven't gone full goth and worn the fucking platforms and put the fucking baby powder in my hair and the white? Yeah, I've done that. Because it fit in that band. I was playing a part. But for me to be me, it's, like I laughed during COVID. Everybody was like, oh my God, we have to wear masks. So I was like, fuck yes, because I got like 30.
That's pretty sick.
I wear them all the time. So I was like, I'm fucking prepared. It's my time. It's that kind of thing. You seem very much the same way. You didn't create a brand. You created a future. And then
I love that.
Worked towards it.
Wait, I love that.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
And
you can ask my diary.
Well, it's like you showed up on my feed about maybe 18 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I just happened to be like, oh, cool. Usually when somebody I know is talking music and I trust their opinion, I make a point of either screenshotting the post or immediately going to Spotify or clicking that link. I make a point of doing that.
Yeah.
And I was driving between Grand Junction and Denver through the mountains, which if you've ever done that drive, it's a fantastic drive. But when you've done it a lot, oh, it's gorgeous. But it's also one of those, like, there's so many shit people that don't know how to drive. And so I have to put on music. And so lots of times I'll put on something new. And that's when I do, because I get new music all the time and I want to test things out. And it's really good to kind of immerse myself in listening to new artists when I am focused on something else.
Of course.
Because then if it really does strike you, it's like, oh shit. And that was one, I was with a group of like 5 people and everybody went, who's this? And it was it was just a random track that popped up on your Spotify on one that I had flagged I needed to watch. And everybody went, who's this? And everybody clicked follow on your profile. Everybody was like, this is amazing. So it was one of those moments. Maybe 2-3 weeks later, I'm at a tattoo convention and it popped up on a feed. And I was like, oh, fuck. I never, because I was driving, clicked follow. And then I started following different social media. And over time, you've popped up on all of my, like, TikTok. I hate TikTok, for the record, because I don't get it. But actually, I do get it. I'm the person who will get 3,000 likes on a comment, but get maybe 200 views on a video. So that's my shtick. But that's okay. But you showed up on my TikTok like the day I opened my TikTok. My phone just knew, okay, these are people you should follow. There's that. You're on all these different Twitter feeds. I don't necessarily always remember to go look for somebody because I'm doing so many different things. But because you are so diversified, it's like you're a stock option in every different area of my life.
That's so funny. That's actually it's really funny that you mentioned that. When I was kind of consciously creating what I view as this extension of myself or the online avatar of myself, I had actively wanted to be accessible to different things. So if you want to feel X, Y, and Z, you can listen to my music. I've abandoned my YouTube channel. I'm so bad at being consistent, but that would be for like a makeup tutorial, art videos, things like that. TikTok, like outfit inspiration, Instagram outfit inspiration. But then if you're into cars, that's like everything because it's like my little interest right now. So that's something that I actively do.
Okay. You're into music, obviously. You are a musician. That is what you list yourself as. I'm a musician. But you're also a designer. You do graphic design and you do fashion design.
Yeah. So, I mean, kind of a little bit, yeah.
But you do it, interestingly enough. I have a problem most of the time with the idea of music and fashion. Fashion should not dictate music. I'm one of those people that believes that fashion should not dictate music. Music should inspire fashion. Fashion should inspire music, but it should not dictate. And there was a while there where fashion was dictating what music was, and that's why all music for about 8 years sounded the same.
Yeah.
That's actually right now. That's why country all sounds the same.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a genre based on a lifestyle, not a music.
That's funny. Right. As opposed to like storytelling. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You're obviously a poet.
Mm-hmm.
You model.
Mm-hmm.
Which, did the modeling start before you actually started doing the music, or is that something that came kind of hand in hand?
The modeling started beforehand because I wanted to have the image.
And there you go. See? So what don't you do? Because like I know I can just tell you're one of those people that kind of sketches and draws and paints and does things whenever you get an opportunity.
Yeah, of course.
Whether you share that or not, I haven't really seen it, but I can tell you do it.
No, I do it. Yeah, no, I have like my own paintings that I do hanging up in my house. What don't I do? I don't stay consistent on my YouTube channel. That's one. And I also don't bake very well. I don't cook very well either. I've been really into soft pretzels and Buffalo Wild Wings the last few weeks.
I wish you could see my list, because I have like, if she doesn't answer, push, do you cook? Do you
no.
bake? It's right here on my list.
That's so funny. Yeah, no, like I can do like a few dishes. I mean, I'm Italian, so I grew up with my mom's cooking, so I obviously can't really top hers. But
well, that's a bar.
I've been getting into it since like moving out part time on my own. Since I go back and forth between two places. And I mean, my boyfriend wants me to cook, but sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
And that's how that plays. Is sometimes.
Yeah.
I didn't see, for me, cooking is an art form. It is.
Yeah, totally.
It's one of those art forms that a lot of baking is in particular. There's a guy on TikTok that makes these like machines from chocolate. He makes me hate myself because he's so good. But
is that the one? Did he make like Did he make like a giraffe?
Yes.
Yeah, it's that guy.
Oh my god.
Can't stand that dude. He's so good at
it. Exactly. It's like, but you can't stop watching.
No.
It's like you want to hate him and you want to be really mad, but you still watch the whole fucking video.
You do. That's the magic of the algorithm, dude. It's just like that.
It's genius. He makes everyone hate themselves because he's so fucking good, and yet you can't. His views have got to be through the fucking roof. I love that shit.
Of course.
Because yeah, I don't know. I guess I look at all that because you've got a business mindset, and some of that comes. You said it earlier. Sometimes you overanalyze. Here's the thing: when you live day by day, it can be a real problem. It can, and I get that sometimes you're overanalyzing, or you're creating problems for yourself, or you are let down because something doesn't happen. And I always tell people there's very few things in this world we can't control, but we can't control time, we can't control the weather, and we can't control other people.
Right.
And music in particular is an industry that relies very heavily on time and other people. So
a
huge chunk of that is out of your own control. And that, trust me, I've had the heartbreak. I've done the whole show up and ready to play and things fall apart. I've had whole I've had tours canceled while I'm driving cross country. And like, hey, by the way, the tour's canceled. It's like, well, fuck me, right? I guess we could find a way to afford to go home. There are those things. But it also means you always live in the moment. And you appreciate those moments more.
I think, there's got to be a balance between the two always.
And I think, and that's one of those things. Like in looking at your social media, you have managed to never post something that is so personal that would lead anyone to believe anything that isn't real about you, for one. That you're very genuine, but also that you give just enough information or just enough of a one-liner to be like, I'm including you in my life, but that doesn't mean you know me.
Right.
And that's pretty unique in this industry.
I feel like in my generation as well, people rely on relatability and kind of shrinking themselves down to be digestible or relatable to others so much to where there's just such a lack of I don't know, for lack of a better word, mystique. There's no veil of artistry. Not that the people that like sometimes I'm referring to, I guess, are artists. However, I see it a lot, and I don't want people to think I'm perfect because I'm not. You know, we all bleed the same. We're all human. I'm not above anybody else. But I don't talk badly about myself, and I just make sure that I'm being as true to myself as I can at all times while keeping a barrier, because I'm a very lonely person. I'm a very solitary person. I'm very happy with that. Like, I have my boyfriend, I have my best friend, I have like my mom and dad, and like my family, and that's pretty much it. You know, I keep myself and my circle very, very small, and I always have, and I probably always will. I think outside energy, if you will, tends to affect us a lot. Like, dare I say, evil eye or stuff like that. And it makes me very, very scared.
Well, you are and become who you hang around. And if you surround yourself with too many people, there's so much negativity. You're bound to become negative just based on the numbers. If you surround yourself with a lot of people, I am a victim of that. I have so many acquaintances and friends through my whole life that I love them. Don't get me wrong, but there's people like, man, I wish I had managed to keep them at arm's length back in the day, because now it's like they're very invested in my life, and it can be exhausting to keep 200 people in contact.
Yeah. I mean, oh my God.
Yeah. It's like, well, and I'm big on memes. I'm not good on communication. I'm not, but I will send memes. I will like, hey, this is my way of reminding you that I'm thinking about you. Is I will send jokes or videos or shit, and that's sending my way of
like a love language. Yeah.
It's just kind of like, this is me letting you know that you're important to me. Doesn't mean necessarily that I'm going to give you an update on my life or want to have a 5-hour conversation, but I'm definitely thinking about you on a regular enough basis to include you in my life.
So sweet.
And that's kind of how I have to do it. The other side of that, though, is that because you keep your circle small, it allows you to, just because you're a solitary person or because you're a private person, doesn't mean you can't set, I mean, nobody's perfect, you're right, but it doesn't mean you can't set the bar standard pretty high. Right, yeah. If you set your self-expectation high enough, then you don't have to worry about what other people are expecting of you.
Right, exactly. I used to have the mindset of like doing the bare minimum, because then when I actually try, people would be impressed no matter what. But now I'm kind of like, I'm at a place where I would just prefer not to share a lot. And the thing with writing music, poetry, the art videos, whatever, is that like you said, I'll share enough information to where it may resonate with somebody, but it's still vague enough to where, what happened in my life or is happening in my life is in my life, and that's it. Yeah. And I don't want to shrink myself down for other people to be able to digest who or what I am or who or what I want to be.
That's always changing with you though too. You're always expanding your horizons. So.
And with rock stars, years and years and years ago, there was no social media, obviously. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm a rock star. I'm not comparing myself to them. However, people like Kiss, we didn't know what they were like as people. And we only knew, say, the makeup and the gear, the outfits. And that was really it. There were characters. And I like that. Like, that always appealed to me so much. So
that's why I love Broadway.
Yeah.
That's why I love Broadway, is that you still have that mystery of all these different artists and actors and things. Yeah. Where you don't really, because it's a completely different level of celebrity than professional sports or professional music, or you don't have that. And you hear stories about different musicians that I always crack jokes about Guns N' Roses. This is a band that made their living off talking about being promiscuous sex and lots of drugs. And Axl Rose was one of the most loyal and drug-free people on the planet.
Right.
It's like, right. And yet he knew what worked. Axel is a character under his own making. There are some that created characters that aren't nearly as iconic, or then there's others. I mean, you look at, everybody knows Slipknot, everybody recognizes the masks, but they may not know shit about any of the individuals,
right? No, exactly.
The numbers or any of that, but they know, that's that band in the mask. Same with Mushroomhead, ICP. Like, there's a lot of those artists that whether you like them, whether you hate them, you'll recognize the icon of what they are.
Right. Exactly.
And yet those people don't have to be that open. And that's...
Whenever it is that I play shows, I kind of want to create that as well. And it's not that I want to close myself off from people. It's that I just want to protect who I am deep down. Because the reason that I create is not because I want to be cool or like hot or I want clout. It's that I'm uncomfortable, and I create because I hurt, and I don't know any other way to deal with that. And I basically want to be someone who like 10-year-old me could look up to. Granted, I did have that person. That person for me was Amy Lee of Evanescence. And when I saw them live, dude, I was like 10, and it was here in Tampa, and I was just so happy to be able to do that. And my life kind of pivoted from there. I was like, wait, can people like do this as a job? And, it got me through. It really, really did. But I want to be that kind of person.
Evanescence live is an experience. That's not a concert. That's an experience.
It's a holy experience.
I've seen them once from the stands and worked on two shows that they were performing, and it's unreal every time. And it never ever doesn't deliver. That's the best part of that, is it's never the same, but it's always an experience. So
absolutely.
Yeah. And you can't say that about a lot of artists, especially from the 90s, that really you talked about the way you perform. Monkey from Korn said something in like 97 or 98 to me after one of their shows. And he was like, I just feel so filthy and so dirty all the time. And the only time I get to actually be that is when I'm on stage. And that's why I have the jumpsuit and I'm sweaty and I'm gross. And that's how I feel all the time. But that's the only time I get to feel like I'm me.
Right.
I grew up in Western Colorado, which is essentially Eastern Utah. I mean, in all reality, that's what it is. It's very conservative. It's very, you have Aspen and you have Vail, but even there, it's still, because I wore makeup and because I painted my nails and because I had long black hair or long blue hair or long green hair and earrings and eyebrow piercings, I was an alien. I was just absolutely ostracized in so many ways, and I didn't really give a fuck, but I didn't know how to express that, even though I was playing punk music and playing ska music and things. It wasn't until I started playing metal, and one of the things is when I first became a frontman, people joke and they thought it was part of the show. I'm notorious for like throwing up blood. I shred my throat, and I will spit up blood. It's not a lot, but I will spit blood out on the stage, and everybody would be like, "Oh, it's so bad," and they would think it was part of the show, and it's like, no, I'm actually hurting myself. I'm hurting myself physically for you to witness. And it was because of that whole, like, sometimes I push myself so hard and I'm doing so much just long-term screaming, I will actually start to bleed.
Yeah.
And so when you've been on the road for 16 days or 18 days and you're doing that every other night or 2 or 3 nights in a row.
Yeah, it's a lot on you.
You just started doing it. And so people thought that was part of the show. Totally not part of the show. I'm actually in physical pain, but I was okay with that.
Right.
That was all right. That was an okay feeling to be out there. And, I never made it as a famous musician. I never wanted to be famous. I love my anonymity. I fucking adore it. To the point where, you're one of very few people that I have ever talked to or made a comment on social media who knows what the fuck I look like.
I got you.
There's no pictures of me on my Facebook. There's no pictures of me on my Twitters. I am not the center of my universe. Everyone else is. And that's what I want.
Cool.
I cherish that anonymity too. And it's not just for my sake. I have kids. I have family. I'm protecting them. That's why I think part of why I respect how you do things is you keep things so close to the vest without, mine are walls. It's a whole fucking fortress. With you literally have it's like you're using the force. Like, you don't need to see this. It's
right.
It's just, and people go, you're right. I don't need to see this. I'm good with that.
Right.
So I don't know. I think that there's a level of personal commitment that you learn in performing and of what you allow people to see. And live music is one of those things that everyone should, not only should they go, and everyone should go to a show. Everyone should go to at least one show, one really important show, somebody they really admire, because it's life-changing. And anybody who's got any kind of talent whatsoever who thinks, man, I'd really love to do that, fucking do it.
Do it. Yeah.
I don't care if it's an open mic. I don't care if it's karaoke. I don't care what it is. Experience it.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I don't think our desires are arbitrary. You know, I think that when we feel that pull towards something, it definitely means there's a part in us that is meant to do that.
Well, people say when you're craving something, like, oh, I'm craving meat, or I'm craving a burger, or I'm craving carrots, it's because your body needs something.
Yeah.
When you think something, when you obsess over something, it's because your body needs it.
Oh, yeah.
Your soul needs it. And I think that's too often mistaken. People don't realize that.
Right.
And I think that's a huge thing. I don't know. One of the things that the other side of your social media is that you are kind of this unintentional guru. You pop off one-liners that could very easily, like, if people, I imagine people looking at your Twitter in particular and writing down what you say on little sticky notes and putting it on their mirror.
I hope so. That's nice.
And the thing is, I don't think you've ever done it intentionally.
No, it's just a stream of consciousness.
Yeah, because it's never at the same time. It's random points. Like there's the one that struck with me that I wrote down is, once I start taking my own advice, it's over for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I said that a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And that on that particular day really hit me right in the forehead, because I'm one of those people that I will give tons of advice but not take my own. I just don't. Like, I'm great with relationship advice, but I suck at relationships.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, same.
So that was one of those that I wrote, and I was like, God, do you even realize that you're out here kind of, because one post it'll be you're showing yourself sitting on the hood of a car, and then, oh, look at this outfit and look how cute this is, and oh, by the way, I have a video coming out, and then you'll at 5:14 in the afternoon, some random piece of just jewel of wisdom gets winged out there into the fucking multiverse. And
you should see my notes app. My notes app is like, the files in that are crazy, because it'll be like 3 a.m. I'll think of something. I literally remember, so about 1 or 2 a.m. this morning, I was thinking about the song Scary Mask by Poppy, and I was like, I don't know exactly what that song is about. I've listened to it a handful of times, but I was like, what am I without my mask? You know, the mask that, like, everyone kind of sees, whatever, the makeup, the hair, whatever. I was thinking, what am I without that? And I was just kind of like in my notes app about it. And I was like, well, I guess that's a song. Mm-hmm. I don't know, if it works out, it works out. And it's like every little thing that happens to me, whether it be a big thing or a little thing. Like earlier today, this girl, I was in the mall, and like I hadn't done like my super goth looking makeup, goth looking whatever, in a long time, and I did it today. I was feeling myself. I felt great. I felt so good. And I had noticed a couple of days ago that like no one had really said anything to me. I live in Florida, like part-time, and people used to say stuff to me, good or bad, doesn't really matter. I used to just get remarks, though, in general, a lot when I looked more extreme. But I hadn't, because I had toned it down. I was wearing mainly like a nude lipstick and looking toned down. But I was like, you know what? Like, I need to do these pictures today, and I want to take pictures of my car and with my car. So let me amp it up. And then I was like, I want to go to the mall right after. So I went to the mall, and a girl walked past me with her boyfriend. And they were like a gym couple, like they were gym rats, not in like a derogatory way, but like,
yeah, you could just tell.
They're wearing like athleisure at the mall, so it's like, okay, whatever. And she walks past me, and I'm sitting down in my little editing app with like all my photos up, and she just looks me up and down. Nice Halloween costume. So I like spun my head and I was like, oh my God, I'm a star again. Oh my God, finally I'm getting like remarks again. Finally.
Well,
and I don't really care whether it's good or bad, because other people's responses to me have very little to do with me. But I know that people are talking, and if I weren't doing something right, people wouldn't be talking. So
that's precisely it. Like for me, I love the Halloween 365 attitude.
Yeah.
When I go out with my super done up friends, I love it. But I also love it when those same people go out without the makeup and like going and having breakfast or lunch at a Denny's with somebody that if they saw them in makeup, they'd be like, oh my God, and they don't realize that that's who it is because they're out of character. I love both sides of that. Because it is really fun. I love showing up and, it's that's the part of music that is the performance part that goes beyond the stage. That I have a fairly negative attitude towards a lot of social media, a lot. There are so many success stories that come from social media though that I love that. I don't discount that. And it allows for more reality outside of the character when you get to go meet these people in real life and you're hanging out.
Yeah, definitely.
And people don't recognize them. It's fun. I just enjoy the shit out of that, and I think I always will. That
was like one of the first things that I got in touch with, because when I was like 15, 14, I was going to shows, whether it be like metal or rock festivals. I went to a lot of Motionless in White concerts.
Excellent choice.
Yeah,
I love Motionless.
They're wonderful.
I adore that band and have a huge history with that band. So yes.
Yeah, definitely. I started getting recognized just from like going to so many shows, and people were like, oh, I saw you at blah 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 show, or oh, I saw you at the mall, or I saw you at this place, and people began to recognize the silhouette that I was choosing for all of my outfits. It wouldn't be the exact same pieces, but I had chosen a silhouette. It's still the same one I wear to this day. I would wear kind of my staple pieces, and people began to recognize me. But when I started to notice that, I had such an immense level of like giddiness when I got that. And I was like, wait, this is amazing. I'm literally obsessed with this. So now when it happens, A, I'm like a million times more giddy, and like B, I just feel a level of comfort with it as well. And it makes me really happy.
It's grassroots brand recognition is what you did.
Yeah. Wait, what do you mean?
Grassroots. Okay, so like when you go to McDonald's, you always order a Coke. Because Coke has been a part of McDonald's since the beginning.
Oh.
Coke is not responsible for McDonald's, but they make them a huge part of their profit and actually had the power in the 80s to go, you're going to get rid of Dr. Pepper. And they went, okay. And they got Mr. Pibb instead. They had the power to just say that because they developed that relationship. And they did it very quietly and very easily. They said, we will support you. We like what you're doing. Keep running with it. There are many artists that have done that through the years. The one that strikes Madonna. Madonna managed to very quietly create a fashion, essentially, identity that was completely separate from her music, completely separate from her acting, but that was just where people would recognize her before she was big. So when she started to be big, everybody in her hometown or the town she had already played in, they're like, I know her, and they would travel to go see her. She had a grassroots base.
This is clicking. Yeah.
There was a grassroots base of people who were like, no. We know her. She's awesome. We're going to support her growth.
Yeah.
That was before social media. Now with social media, with the connection you can have, that's huge. That's absolutely huge. And the other side of that is, people joke about it, like, big time actors in particular, they throw on the dark sunglasses and a hat and they go out in public and people are like, oh, like you're not going to get recognized. And people honestly don't recognize them.
Right.
If I put on a red t-shirt, if I put on like a red or a blue t-shirt, my best friends will walk right by me and not see me at the store.
That was like the thing that Marilyn Monroe did when she would kind of turn on her personality and her light, and she would actively do it and to get people to recognize her. There was that story of her walking around a city with a friend of hers or something, and she had said, like, do you want to see me do it? And I guess no one had been coming up to her, recognizing her, and the friend was like, okay. And she did it, and she just kind of changed the posture, changed from the inside out, and the world had reflected back, and people began to recognize her and come up to her, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting.
Yeah, it's a psychological game, but it works. Mm-hmm. And it's more internal. We don't realize it. Well, if you don't want to be noticed, you can walk through a crowd and not be noticed.
Right.
If you don't want to be. But we're so used to, oh, wait, but I have this. And we create that. In fact, I would even challenge you. Go to a show, dress normal, do everything. Go and just post up against one, not in the back, but against one of the walls. And I bet the interactions will be cut in half.
Right, of course.
They'll cut down because people won't necessarily feel like you're as approachable if you're not stepping into the suit of performance.
Yeah, dude. I mean, if I'm in my head and I'm not really thinking about this, I'm not thinking about interactions. Yeah, no, it can be very, very quiet.
I've noticed that a lot of my porn star friends, that's the big one. The really big one. They will sit and be completely invisible. People will come up, they'll talk to us, and then 45 minutes to an hour later, one or two people will be like, wait, aren't you? Nah. Oh. You'll see them go, God, I think no, that's not her. Or that's not him. Or that's not, and they'll turn away. And you see it. And then of course inevitably a person goes, okay, it's time to go. It's starting to fade off. It's almost like the veil goes away over time. Yeah. And I think it translates. And it's something that you see and of course there's, like I say, there's different levels of celebrity. There's different levels of I don't like, in a lot of ways, celebrity is over celebrated because I think we reward people for being mediocre rather than being exceptional. And then we reward one level exceptionability compared to another, and they're on completely different. I don't get that. Like, why does a professional athlete make so much more than this person who, is so great at murals or, does, cooks for 1,000 people a day? And it's so subjective.
Right.
But I also see that as when you have those people and they take that responsibility of celebrity seriously and say, I have a responsibility to the people who are looking at me to be in the moral right, to stand up for what I believe in, to look at those things and project that outward. And so it goes both ways. I think that level of being able to take yourself less seriously, for one, cracking jokes. Barack Obama is one of my favorites. The whole thanks Obama with the cookie. I don't know if you ever saw it, where he went to dip the cookie in the milk and it didn't. He goes, thanks, Obama. And he tosses it. That won me over. I was like, this man is the greatest. He's the greatest speaker of our time for this dumb joke. People are making fun of him for this. And he went, it is kind of funny. So he just played it. I like that. I think that that's very respectable.
Definitely.
And so I think that people, given that, I think that if more people did that, more people took that level of don't take myself so seriously, if they took that seriously and they took, I don't always have to be in character, because that's where burnouts come in.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's exhausting. You can't keep
I know burnout very well.
Yeah.
Her and I are very close,
unfortunately. See, that's funny. You said her. I look at burnout as a guy. I'm one of those people. If there is a God, definitely a woman, and the devil's definitely a dude. I'm one of those people. I'm not anti-man, but I'm definitely like, on behalf of the penis bearers, sorry, we kind of just suck. But I guess where do you see yourself going? I mean, you said, as you start performing, what would it be your dream tour?
Ooh, good question. We did mention Motionless, so that would be a very full circle moment for me, definitely.
Honest to God, you could join their tour right now with Ice Nine.
That would be cool.
You'd fit in on that so well. It's such a good lineup.
That'd be cool. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
You know who I would love to tour with? I'm a big fan of Orgy. That would be fun.
I love Orgy. I saw Orgy on their first tour, and those guys actually played they got one of our mixtapes and put it on the overheads at a big stadium, and they were like, these guys are right here. This is this band, and they were cool.
And I could foresee myself touring with like Poppy. I feel like her and I would get along as like homies as well. Yeah.
Similar enough artistry between the two. You'd have a lot of the same fans, but you would bring new fans to her and she would bring new fans to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would blend really well.
That'd be really cool.
Be a good one. Yeah. Do you know how Mandy Moore started?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so in the time of the pop queens and the boy bands, since everybody was kind of being created from Disney and Nickelodeon and all this stuff, there was very little that they could do to separate each other. So when you would think of Britney Spears, it was also Jessica Simpson and Christina Aguilera, and it just kind of worked. Same with the boy bands, NSYNC, Backstreet, 90 Degrees. They were all just synonymous. Mandy Moore chose, and I don't know whether it was her personally or her management or what, they put her on tour with rock bands.
That's cool.
And she played with a live band. And apparently threw down. I never saw it, but apparently she would go out there and throw down basically a rock set that a lot of people refer to Lizzie Hale. That it was like watching a Hailstorm show.
Hailstorm is amazing.
Yeah, and they were like, it's a lot like watching a Hailstorm show. And then they would get her albums like, wait, this is pop. And then her next album came out and it was a little less pop. And then her third album came out, it was way more pop. But she had such a different fan base because she did something completely different.
Right.
Like in some ways, I think you would do quite well if you were to just pick. There's somebody walking in behind me. If you just saw that,
I was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah. But the idea of if you were to tour with a group of people that maybe didn't fit your style,
that'd be cool.
You know, because like the thing that comes to mind, it's a joke to me in so many ways. I love cracking smart ass comments about it. The gathering of the Juggalos. I think you would actually destroy that crowd.
Yeah,
I think you would go out there and I think they would just be like, we get it. We fucking get it. And I think you would identify with so many people that you probably wouldn't reach otherwise.
Right. Another group I would say, so like a large part of like my vocal production, I use like very pop style vocals when I'm singing at that. So there's an artist named Slater. I would love to tour with Slater. She's really, really, really cool. And I think that we're only like a few years apart in age and we have very similar humor, very similar posts. So like to be like a pop girl looking like this would be really, really cool as well. But the Juggalo thing is interesting. I've never heard that, but yeah, I could totally see it.
It was just one of those things because like Whitney Payton is one of those that I was like, man, how does she fit in? Because she's from Philly. She moved out to Arizona for a while. She played with I Set to Kill for a bit and was like doing live music stuff with them. And it worked really well. And I suddenly went, well, no shit. No wonder she can identify so well because she's such a diverse artist in her lyrical style that it appeals to the ICP lovers, and yet I look at like the Gathering Joe, Mushroom Hair is there all the time, and Tech Nine, who is not a Juggalo, is in with all the Juggalos. I mean, it's just one of those things. You watch these people kind of cross that genre. Swaco, for fuck's sake, Swaco is famous for a song that he did as a joke.
Right.
You know,
right. Swaco's big in the car community, right?
Yeah.
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 He drives like an older BMW build.
Yeah. So and that's just it. Well, I mean, Loveless, other than the debacle that is the whole Sam Smith Loveless, that whole thing, the unholy him, basically people thinking it was his music and it not being and all these other things. Like Loveless is one of those artists that became famous through TikTok who would never have identified with any of the fans that he has, because if you listen to Loveless's music, it's very specific a genre that fits, but because he's vocally so talented, he likes covering other people's shit and he loves stitching other people's music. That's fun.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. I have yet to check him out.
He's really, really talented and honestly hilarious because he has these little secret accounts that he pretends to not like himself and he talks shit about himself.
And that's actually really smart.
I think it's hilarious.
People like the underdog, so that would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, and he's one of those, like, I know big time management, big time labels that are like, fire your management, fire your label, and come work with us because your people have failed you. And because honestly, Unholy, which mad respect to Sam Smith. I am a Sam Smith fan. That song had so much buildup that by the time it was released, nobody knew it was going to be him. And it's like, it's a 2 minute and 27-second song that nobody gives a fuck about.
I'm a Kim Petras fan, so
well, I feel you. And she killed that verse, and she's catching shit because of shit that happened after the verse was released. That's not her fault. It's not her fault. When does Iconography come out?
February.
February? Okay. I don't know if you were okay stating that clearly, but I'm actually I'm very much looking for it. Now, you've talked about it, the masks we wear and things like that. Icon is one of those songs that you can't tell if you wrote it about yourself or someone else. And I think you leave that up to the listener.
Yeah, it's definitely and it can be interpreted a few different ways. Because I interpreted a few different ways. I think of it, yes, when I was like physically typing it into my phone, it was about somebody else. But then, I mean, I had like a really rough year, and then it kind of evolved into about myself. And then another thing happened, and I was going in and like working on the mixes, and I was like, no, it's about this motherfucker. And then it just kind of evolved into like different things. So yeah, it's definitely up to the listener who they associate that with.
Yeah, it's just one of those. It's very introspective, but also very much a perspective piece. And like, if you just read the lyrics, like take the music out of it, take the rage and the pain that's obviously there, and you just read the lyrics, it's very much a don't be a douchebag, don't be a bitch, don't be a problem, but also if you're gonna be these things, own them kind of mantra.
Yeah.
And are you that way day to day about like if somebody gives you an opinion, do you expect them to state it as a fact more than like just an opinion?
I'm definitely all about owning whatever it is that you say and I'm reading the 4 agreements right now, so I'll use the term be impeccable with your word. And I think that our word is the most powerful thing that we have. It's one of the only things that we have control over. And if you're going to use your word in a right of power, I don't think you should do it in a bad way. I mean, for me, yeah, I mean, there's definitely stuff on the record and in different songs that I wrote that I am using my word in a bad way. I guess using cuss words, talking about how somebody's a piece of crap, whatever. But it's in the way of healing, so it's fine. But yeah. Like that girl, I mean, like a girl who walked by me and said, nice Halloween costume. Yeah, I mean, own that if you're going to say it. Say it to my face, though. She said it very under her breath. Like, say it to my face if you're going to say it.
And there you go. And that's one of those things, like, it's a matter of, like, that's the other side of your social media that I wanted to get into is that I feel like you leave yourself open. You are in a world where you are leaving yourself vulnerable and raw in a world of sharks, just ripe with sharks, where they just want to scare the fuck out of you. And yet it doesn't feel like they do it as much with you as they do with other artists in the same, as far as the same following count thing. You don't, I watch other artists just get attacked and they're devastated by it. And
yeah, anyone, dude, I like to think that middle school was my boot camp. Like I have never, I don't think, I hope to God, I never experienced a pain like I did in middle school. And people now on like user 12345 account can say whatever to me and I'm really not going to care because like I mentioned earlier, I know that people's response to me does not have a lot to do with me. Right. It usually has more to do with a lack of control in their life and it spills over into other things. So let's say, I'll tell you a story. Like earlier in the summer, me and my best friend were at Walmart and this lady comes up to us and she started just berating me for my appearance. And I wasn't super dressed up. I had on like a dress and some tights and heels, but I didn't have chains. I didn't have a contacts in. I didn't have gloves on, anything like that. And my hair was just solid black. And lady was berating me. But in my head, I'm like, I know I shouldn't take this personally because this lady's like granddaughter or daughter or something probably got like her first tattoo, and this bitch is now acting out because of that. And it's a lack of control in her life, something that doesn't align with her belief system that's so deeply ingrained in her like sick steel skull that she's now taking it out on me. So now when user 12345 is like, you suck or cringe or your lip filler looks crazy, whatever the fuck it may be, literally, why would I pay mind to that? I've experienced such worse pain.
Well, and the thing is, like, it's amazing to me that I don't ever see you really respond.
Oh.
And I can tell it's just because you're like, fuck that, don't care. I know that's what it is. You're like that.
My time means way too much to me.
Yeah, you're not gonna waste your energy and your time trying to correct somebody's behavior. But here's the thing: the people that I notice who don't react are the ones who have the largest vocabulary. And in the world of trolls, when you have a vocabulary like you obviously do, and I'm thinking of several other people that I see online, that is a fucking arsenal.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
When you can in 5 words that are multisyllabic lay somebody completely bare, and you don't do it, it's this level of power that I don't think people recognize enough. Like, I'm sure that you have at least once or twice, whether you regret it or not, turned around and said something to somebody like that lady today saying, oh, nice Halloween costume, and just made them feel tiny as fuck with just a couple of words. Just
my favorite words are asking if they're okay or if they're feeling or doing okay. Because then they just kind of shrink. They're like, oh, they feel like a real asshole. Because I'm not meeting it with any like animosity. I'm genuinely like, are you okay? Yeah. Are you like doing okay? Yeah. Like what?
And when you make the person then, you know, introspect, it's the same thing as there's a woman, she's a counselor, and she's kind of a comedian too. And so when especially really misogynistic men will make comments near her or around her, and she'll hear it, she's like, oh, you know, she treats me like a baby. Oh, poor baby. You know, and she does. She's really, oh, do you need something? Poor baby. And she like does that. And she says it just shrinks them. Just completely removes.
Absolutely. Especially like a tough dude. Yeah.
You know, things like that. Or, you know, like watching some comedians deal with hecklers where they suddenly just go, look, I'm in comedy and I'm used to this, and they just lay them out. And then the rest of the time you just know that person's just sitting there thinking about that one phrase. When people don't use that, it's almost more powerful.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And I guess I think I witnessed that. I witnessed that with you. There's a core element. I'm not a big fan of Hollywood. I think Hollywood rips the soul out of way too many people.
Yeah.
But there are a few people out there in the Hollywood scene that I'm like, just thrive. Just keep doing this because God, you're amazing. And it's really fun to kind of watch them not react or turn it into a joke. And be like, cool, I'm going to take your comment that's obviously you're looking for attention, and you're trying to be, and I'm going to make you famous, but in a really not fun way for you, but it's going to work for me because I'm going to not take myself seriously, and I'm going to crack this joke about myself. I'm going to own it, and I'm going to run with it.
That's the way to do it.
I don't know.
One of my favorite people who does that is Dolly Parton. When people would say that she looked cheap, she'd be like, well, it costs a whole lot of money to look this cheap. Or they would say she looks like trash, and she's like, well, that's what I'm going to be, or something along those lines. I really love her. Huh?
Did you watch her Hall of Fame induction?
No, I need to. I need to do a deep dive on Miss Parton because she is one of my favorite people from the few things I've seen of her.
She's amazing. She absolutely blows my fucking mind. Yeah. Her the one-liners and the zingers and things that she was dropping during, oh my God. I was so impressed.
So amazing.
Yeah, and I was never growing up. I listened to a lot of Dolly Parton because of my dad, but I never was like a fan. It was never one of those things. I know a lot of her music and things like that, but I didn't realize how much of that entire genre she really affected and changed. And I think that was a very good thing. I think it was really cool.
I want to go to Dollywood.
I think it would be cool. I've never been there, but I've thought about it a couple of times. I've thought about going to Graceland a couple of times. Never been there, but I've thought about it.
Anyway, I went to Nashville and I went to the Country Music Hall of Fame. I saw like a couple of her outfits and stuff that were in there. It was really, really cool. And I don't remember where Dollywood is. I think it's in like it's not Gatlinburg, is it? It's somewhere like either Eastern Tennessee or like Northern. I was in like Middle Tennessee though. And yeah, no, I want to go there at some point.
Yeah, I think it would.
I'll do
I think
anything
it would be a blast. I think there's certain things that I mean, it sounds really touristy, but I think that we should experience as musicians, as artists, and as people. Like, there's a reason. And for me, what was really interesting about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year was you have Dolly Parton and you have Eminem.
Wait, so where is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Refresh my memory, please.
Is that Detroit? Chicago? Now I can't remember.
There was like one of the Hall of Fame things. Oh my God, I feel so dumb for not remembering.
No, you said it. I immediately left.
There was one of them in Ohio.
Yeah.
That I went to. My mom took me, and it was around the time that I decided I
like. It's in Cleveland. It's in Cleveland.
Okay, so yes, I have been there. I have been there.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
God, I felt really stupid for a minute there.
Me too. I was like, oh no, what was that place that my mom took me to when I was like 14?
Yeah. But watching the two of them get inducted and be so opposite, and yet it just made so much sense.
Right.
That was a cool one. That was pretty neat for me to watch. Kind of like, all right, and they both kind of reacted the same way. Like, you know, at one point, you know, Eminem caught so much flack early on his career for the way he treated his daughter, and you're using her as a marketing scheme. He literally looks her dead in the eye. She's in the crowd. He goes, all right, earmuffs, and then he says a bunch of shit. He goes, okay, you can start listening again, and it's kind of this cute moment because you realize he really did not want to cause damage to his kids. It was never an intentional thing. It's just that's how life goes, and he was raw about it. Dolly Parton, the whole, you know, cracking jokes about, yeah, I got big boobs and I know how to use them, and you know, and talking about, you know, she made some comment about some guy who escaped from her house, get back in. Aren't you supposed to be in my basement somewhere or something like that? Just cracking one-liners. I was like, it's so good to see people that are very real and have done so much that people don't realize.
Right.
That's the stuff that people are remembered for. Chris Farley is one of those, you know, actor, comedian. He did all these things, but what people in Chicago remember him for, people that are native and who really knew him, is he worked the soup kitchens every weekend.
That's awesome.
You know, that's what he's known for. Is he? Chris. He was a great guy. He used to cook for us. He used to bring us this. He hung out with all the homeless people and brought us donuts and stuff.
That's awesome.
He didn't do that with a camera crew. He didn't do that for celebrity. He did it because I have money and I want these people to not suffer.
Right.
That's what I see now with people like Dolly Parton in particular, who step up suddenly and go, I think that the world could be a better place, and this is what it would take. I think Cher is that way.
Cher's awesome.
Cher's one of those, she really believes the world can be a better place and that it's our responsibility to make it that way. And I think that there are just those people in music in particular that they take that very, very seriously. And I respect the shit out of that.
Always.
Because that does matter. It does. When you talk about, you know, things like, well, within your own creation, you're opening up your soul, you're opening up your experiences, what you're dealing with, and you're putting it out there. You're allowing someone to see a little window of who you are and see inside you. Okay. When somebody interprets that for themselves and they let you see it in return, it's almost like you're raising them. It's like you're like, okay, you've experienced something through my eyes, and now I'm experiencing the same thing through your eyes. At what point do I shove you out the nest?
Right, right.
And I think that in today's, not just in music, but the fact that so many influencers have so much power and so much control over what we see day to day, I think all of that really gets missed. There's no sense of ownership and responsibility when we act like douchebags. Like we're teaching other people to be douchebags.
Yeah.
So
that goes with the whole, like, you know, be impeccable with your word thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, you always hear it as a kid, like words hurt. You also hear sticks and stones may break my bones, and words never hurt me. I believe that, you know, emotional damage is the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
There's shit that people said to me in second grade that I still remember, and it still stings. Yeah. You know, it's those things. So, you know, physical pain does heal mostly, but emotional damage, most therapists say it doesn't really ever go away.
Right. Right.
I don't know. Do you ever see yourself moving into like acting or anything like that?
I would love to. 100%.
I mean, would you do the traditional I want to be in a horror film, or is there something specific you'd want to do?
No, I wouldn't. I would hate to typecast myself in any genre. Just anything where I can really immerse myself and put on a different mask. I would love to do it. But hey, if it happens to be a horror film, sounds great.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I would love to do something kind of they're like feminine rage or very like something Gone Girl-ish where I can really, really, really immerse myself into it and run away from what I experience every day and act in kind of a different way. I found that people who either deal with things or, struggle with things like myself, we tend to enjoy acting because we're putting on a different mask. I love performance in every way, and I always viewed myself as a performer, whether it be on a stage or walking like through Target getting my groceries. So yeah, I would love to do acting in like any way. I think it could be really, really cool.
What about voice acting, like doing like video game voiceovers or something?
That would also be really, really cool.
Because I think you could nail that too.
So what's interesting? My mom told me that, and I didn't think that I had a good voice acting voice because I was actually made fun of a lot for my voice growing up because I have a lisp and there's some stuff that I have trouble pronouncing. But I think, hey, I mean, if it works out, especially if it's a character, I like to make my kind of myself and my life look as if I were a video game character, like with the car that I drive, with how I dress. I just want to look like the evil GTA girl or something, and or like the evil guitar hero girl, and yeah, to like bring that into a video game would be really, really cool.
I don't know, like you say, you have a lisp, but you said that you have a very unique voice, and I think that's
what my mom said. Oh, that's what my mom told me. But yeah.
Yeah, but no, well, I mean that moms aren't always, even though sometimes it's like, yeah, that you're my mom, you have to say that. They lots of times have some insight in that shit, and it is. I don't know. I find that a lot of particularly women in music when they're speaking, Mixie from Stitched Up Heart, she has one of the greatest speaking voices I've ever heard in my life.
I gotta hear her talk. I've never heard her voice.
She should do interviews like for like the news. When she talks to you, I've known Mixie for fucking ever, and it's one of those things that she is one of the few people that when she's talking to you, she makes you feel like you're the only person on the planet.
That's so cool.
And it's just this very direct.
I love those people. They're so hypnotizing.
Yeah, it's so cool, and she's just very, very, and she when she's passionate and she's intense, like it comes through so clearly in just the way she says stuff.
That's
and
so
then
cool.
And so when you've got her engaged, it's this sense of honesty, and it's in the tone of her voice. It's not even necessarily the words; it's how she says it.
Aww.
I think that's really cool. I've always thought Aesop Rock should be the voice of every wise character ever on video games because he's just got this it's like him and Ian McKellen and Morgan Freeman. There's just certain people that have those speaking voices that you're just like, that's perfect. It's right. And again, you don't want to necessarily be typecast into a situation, but at the same time, when you're typecast as God, is that such a bad thing?
I would say it's a blessing.
I mean,
I wonder what my like typecast would be based upon my voice. Maybe my mom would know. I don't know.
I've never said this out loud, and I hope no. God, so many of my friends listen to this, and they're going to make so much fun of me. Every once in a while, I will watch stuff on Discovery, and I will turn down the sound, and I will narrate.
I love it.
And I do it in different voices because I do lots of accents and different voices and things. Like sometimes they just pop out. Same. I don't know where they come from, but they just do. And I'll do that. And I did it because I watched Snoop Dogg do the Animal Planet special.
The Animal Planet thing, yeah.
And I was like, bro, like that's fucking genius. Like I want to do that. And I will just sit there and I will end up giggling at myself. Like, dude, I'm such an idiot, but that was funny. That kind of stuff. I started recording it and listening back to myself. to kind of see where I am, and because I've done a little bit of voiceover work, and I'm actually trying right now. I'm actively trying to get in with Audible to do book reading.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
One of my friends, Semaine, he actually is doing it, and he was like, "Bro, like your voice is good. You should do this. You love to read, and it gives you another way to make some income doing what you're already doing. You've got the studio set up. Why not?"
That's pretty
cool. I was like, "Fuck yeah!" So it's been something I've been kind of looking at more and more. But it is one of those like, because I'm an insomniac, I stay up late and I watch a lot of Discovery Channel shit, and I'll just sit there and start.
I love it.
Myself. It's dumb, but it's fun.
Hey, I love that for you.
Yeah. So you might consider doing that. Just something fun. Even just get on Twitch and start talking to people that are playing.
I wish I understood Twitch more. A lot of people have told me that I should get into Twitch.
I think you would have a huge following. I'll tell you that.
I mean, right now. A lot of people have told me, and I have it. Like I have my little PC build, everything ready to go, but I procrastinate a lot, and I mean, it would be fun. I think I don't really play a lot of video games.
Well, there's a couple people. My friends love me going on their Twitch channels because I suck at video games.
Right.
And I'm really bad at almost all games. Like,
same.
I'm really good at like the Lego games and shit like that. Like I
would do like the Bratz Rock Angels game if I were to do that, but I don't know how to download it on my computer.
Yeah, but I mean, even my friends, like, they bring over like flight simulators or whatever, but they love having me on Twitch because I am a massive shit talker. Or I love it. Or I will do the whole distract them with cracking as many jokes and one-liners and shit as I can.
Yeah.
While they're doing stuff and being all serious. I'm that dude who's like way behind and not keeping up, but keeping them cracking up so that I still am like, it's fun as shit. And they love having me on because it's more entertaining for them rather than just playing the game and having the 3 to 5 people actually speaking to them. So I think, I think you would have a massive following.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any friends who like do Twitch. I have one off the top of my head. I know he does, but that would be really fun. I would like to do that. It would be a good way to pass the time during my day. I don't do a lot day to day.
Yeah, I mean, I've got one friend, she's not very good at video games, but she gets every new game sent to her and she just opens them up and tries them out. And a lot of my friends use her as the person that they check out a game for the first time. So she makes a pretty good income just sucking at video games. She's not even good at them, but she gets them. So
that's cool.
I don't know. I would, I mean, far be it for me to recommend something for you because it's not like I'm anybody, but I think you would do massively well as a Twitch streamer.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I would be more than open to try it if I could figure it out.
Yeah. So, well, of course,
especially like I renewed my lease here, so for another year, I may as well while it's like set up.
See, you're so brave because Florida scares the shit out of me.
I've always loved. Well, here's the thing. So I'm used to it because we've always had property here. So I've literally been back and forth my entire life, just in a few different areas in Florida. I came back to the first area that I lived in, though. It's where I currently live now, and like part-time now. And I'm so happy. It's like a brand new area too. So it's really, really cool to experience. Oh, that's cool. I miss the other side of Florida. I used to live on the east coast of Florida, and I really loved it. But now I live on the west coast.
Yeah, I had a friend who actually was living in Tampa until I think she moved back up to Indiana in March, but she loved the Tampa area. I've had a lot of friends that live in Florida. Yeah. I am that guy who watches the whole Florida man or Florida woman and just knows this is going to be the most entertaining headline of the day because it's always something crazy.
Oh yeah, and it's real.
Oh, it always is.
And it's real.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some bad experiences on tour, but Florida was one of those where we did like 5 dates in Florida. And every single one of them was just like something absolutely batshit crazy happened every day. And I just, it was just like, and everybody acted like it was the most normal shit ever. And I'm like, how do you live like
this? Yeah. So I am from the Salem area, Salem, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on in Salem. So the polarity of like growing up in Florida and around Salem, Massachusetts, I'm used to just this is my baseline.
I guess I could see, because I've been to Salem a few times. I'm very into the paranormal. Like I actually was like I did investigating for a while, and I've met with mediums and psychics and done tons of ghost hunting and things like that. And I'm actually planning a ghost hunting photography tour. We were going to try and do it this year, we just couldn't make it happen. So I'm hoping next year, where we're hitting 24 of the most haunted locations in the U.S., touring from LA to Boston.
Oh, so
all across the country.
I'm assuming you're going to go to Salem, yeah?
Yeah, we're going to definitely hit Salem. I think it's stop number like 19 or something like that. Yeah, I have been there. There's definitely that whole area has a feel to it that is very, for one, the public persona of the witch trials and what they think it was versus what it actually was. Like what it actually was is heartbreaking. And just
it's really sad.
That solemn feeling and that almost like guilty, like I feel guilty for being a male in the United States when I'm there.
I got you. You know what's really strange is I always, when I go downtown, I'm going back home for a few things next week. Every time I go downtown, because I like go to like coffee downtown, and that's like about it. And like one of my really close friends is she works at one of the goth stores downtown. So I'll like go to visit her, go get us some coffee. Every time I step foot downtown, I feel like this just sense of being like choked. I always feel it. Maybe that's because I grew up there and I had some rough experiences. I went to high school for a brief period of time in downtown Salem.
That's probably pretty intense.
Yeah.
That's probably.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess when you deal with that much spiritual energy, and then you get down to Florida, which has its own completely different level of spiritual energy, and then you've got nature basically beating the living crap out of you from all directions. Like I love Australia. Florida? Yeah, in Florida. Every time I'm in Florida, it's like one day it's so hot it's oppressive, and it's humid, and I feel like I'm melting. Like you get out of the shower. Well, and see, for me, I've only been in Massachusetts in the autumn, so I like the rain and that feel, so it's good for me.
It's beautiful. It is beautiful in fall. But in the winter, I mean, it can be 60, 70 degrees one day, and you have a blizzard the next day. That is literally Massachusetts.
See, Philly's that way.
Here, I mean, here the last few weeks, it's been like a level like between 70 and 80 degrees, not a ton of rain, not a ton of anything. I'm happy because I can leave my car outside. I don't have to bring it inside. So it's less cars to move.
Yeah.
But it's been pretty stable here, and I know I'm gonna go back home. I just know it's gonna like blizzard the day I get there.
Well, it's like the next day. Buffalo, like a couple weeks back, Buffalo, New York got so many inches in like one day that it was like covering garage doors and shit. I have a friend that just moved there, and he was literally like, look, I knew it was going to be bad, but I didn't expect this. Like, he shoveled for 3 days to get his car out. And he has a nice RX. Yeah, he was just like, fuck.
So I love the cold. I love cold, but I don't like snow because I never liked driving in it. My first car was a Hummer, and I still have the Hummer as my daily driver. But I never liked driving in snow. I will put like different stuff on my heels, like on like my high heels when I know I have to walk on ice so that I'll have traction, so I don't slip and fall.
See, I grew up around Aspen where people would go in mini skirts and stilettos to like lunch. So
that's what I do. That's literally what I do.
I grew up in the snow. I learned to drive in the snow. I'm very comfortable. I've driven passes that are closed. Like literally been on Vail Pass. It closed behind me, and I was the only car. There's jackknife trucks everywhere, and I'm just like, just go over, no big deal. I watch people freak out when driving. We
got a really bad hurricane here. Mr. Ian came through.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wanted to go to McDonald's like during everything was closed, lo and behold, of course. But like, I didn't really have much problem driving in the Hummer. And
I have a friend just south of you that she lives near Orlando, and she was kind of live tweeting during the hurricane, and it was hilarious because she's outside doing cosplay stuff, and because she's like, the storm, look, it's badass, it's perfect, I'm gonna do these goddesses, and I was like, you're nuts.
You may as well.
But it worked. Well. I was like, because I am one of those guys, when I see it's foggy outside, I'm like, please, somebody, let's go to creepy photos. Please.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I want to do is I want to go take creepy photos of people in the fog or when it's pouring rain and stuff. I mean, I want to do that because it's yes, I can build a rain machine. Yes, I have fog machines, but it's not the same.
No, never.
The reality is so much better
when there's like a storm about to hit, because the beach that's closest to me is on an island. I live close to Siesta Key.
Okay.
And that's like where I'll go around that area. And yeah, whenever there's like a really big storm coming, I love to go out and just look out on the coast. It's so cool.
Yeah, see, and I do kind of miss that stuff, but at the same time, like, it's just like I say, it makes sense that if you're going from one level of energy to another level of energy, but the same thing. I love Australia. I have so many friends from Australia, and that is a continent that is trying to murder everybody on it.
Yep.
Everything is poisonous. Everything will kill you. Everything is hunting you down, and the weather is atrocious. And there's fires everywhere and shit like that. And yet,
wow,
that's where people want to live. And it's like, it's just a special level of commitment to life.
Absolutely.
Which is kind of cool, but it's also very, very strange to me. So I don't know.
No, definitely.
So where did the car fix it? Because that seems to be something that either you're just now starting to let people see or something you're just now coming into. Where did the car part of you come in here?
I would say it's a little bit of both. So my boyfriend got me into it. Well, no, he didn't specifically get me into it. I was a little into them because I have my car up north and I really like that car. And I started to get a little bit into like German motors and learning about them. Now that I'm into cars, I don't like German motors as much. But anyway, him and we were best friends before we dated. And we met like in person, and immediately he began talking about cars because he drives an RSX, and that's like his interest. Like that's what he does. And we met in person, and he was just talking and talking. And I was going through a lot at the time, very, very scary, solemn stuff. And I needed to do stuff with my hands. I was designing a lot of clothes, like my own pieces and stuff. And he started to teach me a little bit about cars. And I was like, you know what? I really like this. And then over time, I was like, I think I hate having a Hummer. I feel shitty driving this Hummer. Meanwhile, like there's nothing more I want than to like go drive crazy with this RSX that I see on the highway or whatever. And so I got my car that I have now. I mean, I have the Hummer, but I got a CE. So
nice.
Yeah, that's kind of where the car fixation started, though, because he was going through it and he got really into cars, doing stuff with his hands.
Yeah.
I was going through it. He started to teach me about it. He took me down to where he works and we did a little bit on his car and I started to really like it. Now I'm into it.
Yeah. Well, and see, I'm kind of a closet gearhead. People in high school knew I was into it because I like working on, again, Western Colorado. Everybody had a Jeep and everybody had a truck and so I had my Toyota and I rigged it for Baja racing and doing all this stuff and going out and helping the hunters. I was making extra money helping them haul carcasses and doing stuff like that. It was easy. I snowboarded constantly, so we all had to have 4-wheel drive because we liked backcountry. So I got into that, and then a bunch of my friends started getting, this is in the late 90s, they started getting Hondas, Accords and things like that, and started working on them, started dropping them. And I'm really good at stereos and I'm really good at electronics. And then I started realizing I'm actually really good at engines. And I've been told, and it's a line in fucking Fast and the Furious, but I've been told that people that have either autism, ADHD, or certain levels where they've got different, where they have to create focus, that engines just start making sense to them. And I'm one of those rare people where both sides of my brain work equally at the same time. It doesn't switch, which is also apparently a lot of psychopaths have that. So I've kind of had to watch that my whole life. But but when I'm working on an engine, it's like they talk to me. It's like I can just tell.
Right.
And
it's an intuitive second nature thing for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I've had a couple of really nice Civics, and I've worked on some NSXs. I've worked on a lot of Subarus. I had a Type R, a Honda Accord Type R, that actually was on
cool.
like calendars and covers and posters in like car shops, like because I made it look.
That's cool. Okay.
I really liked BMW's look, but after working on the engines, I was like, I don't ever want to fuck with this. But I make my Accord look like an M series. So people was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I made my own body parts and things like that. It was fun.
That's sick.
Did that for years. And I'm into old school muscle cars too. I've had Chevelles and Camaros and things like that I've worked on, that I've owned, that friends have owned, Novas. And I don't know if you follow the street racing scene in like Oklahoma and Detroit and all that, but I've been huge into street racing for a lot of years. And I know a lot of people in that scene. Kind of, it was very underground because it's still, I mean, most of it is still illegal, but there's a lot of ways they do it controlled now because it's so televised. And so, but there's a lot of those guys that I've met and learned over the years. So I had the opportunity a few years ago to buy a Dodge Charger that was a cop car.
That's awesome.
So I'm driving one of it used to be a cop car Dodge Chargers, and I put the biggest fucking Hemi engine I could find, and we're getting ready to put that in it. And it's going to look like the Decepticon from the first Transformers movie when I'm done.
What color is it?
It's the black and white. It looks like a cop car.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool.
People get the fuck out of my way when I'm driving it because they think I'm a cop. And I haven't done a lot of the computer stuff to it, and I don't have it set up. I mean, it's still very street legal, but I can't say on air because I really don't want people, or I'm very secretive about it, but I can make somebody get crushed into the seat pretty easily with it as it was before, and now I'm putting a bigger engine with about 150 more horsepower in it.
Right.
So I like that. I love going fast, but I still have, if somebody were to hand me, hey, here's an old Honda, let's soup it up. Hell yeah.
Right.
I love that shit. It's just fun as hell. The Tokyo car scene is something I would kill to go to Tokyo and see all the different styles of cars and the different race scenes, and just take my camera and just take 1,000 pictures a day of that environment.
I was just talking about how I wanted to go to Nismo Fest.
It'd be
literally, I was talking about it last night because we were watching like a YouTuber who was there, and I think it's going on either currently or just went on.
It just went on.
And I was just like, dude, we should go next year.
Well, yeah, like it's the same. All musicians should experience NAMM once. All car people should. There's other places that you should always try and go to. Going to the big auctions. If you get a chance to go to one of the big auctions in Arizona or in Vegas, go. Because I love going. There's a tattoo convention that I'm a big part of here in Colorado that I take my clothing line and my photography to, but they have a car show as part of it. And I make a point of, hey, for the next hour, don't bother me. Don't text me. Don't call me unless it's a fucking emergency. I'm going to go look at these gorgeous pieces of machinery. And I end up taking pictures, and it's just really good auto mechanics are as much, they're every part an artist as any person riding a concerto.
Right.
And it just it's amazing to me. And watching, like, if you ever get a chance to go to like a no prep event or something like that, do it. Mm-hmm. They're fun as hell.
Yeah, I've only been to one car show and like a few car meets, but I would really, really like to do more. And once I get my car to where I would like it to be, I would like to bring it.
Oh, definitely. It's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. It's so much fun. And car people, the thing about going to a car person is that you don't deal with the whole one. You gotta deal with people like, oh, I'll blow your doors off, or I'll do this, or that's not worth. But for the most part, everybody's like, oh shit, what did you do here? And they just really want to talk to you about what you do. And then they want to show you what they did. And it's such this amazing back and forth.
They're all buddies.
Yeah, there's the rivalries there, but even if it's like I see it in the racing world all the time. Guys who are flat out top of their game, hate each other when they're side by side, are giving each other parts and helping each other out to make sure they can still be side by side.
Of course.
I don't see that in a lot of other, particularly sports, but in a lot of other fields. You don't see that level of, you're my biggest rival and I'm your biggest supporter.
Right.
And I don't know why cars are that equal ground, but I just kind of dig that.
Yeah, the craftsmanship and just, I don't know. It's really, really interesting.
Yeah.
I like to see it.
There's so much science to it and math, and people are like, "Oh yeah, you're out there being a gearhead." Like, you don't get it. You get a good mechanic who knows what they're doing and can tune stuff and things like that. Man,
right?
It's so interesting. I know that's
Logan
really nerdy, but it is so interesting.
Too. Yeah, Logan has been an amazing teacher with it, and it's really like he's so knowledgeable with it. Like every day I'm in awe of how much he knows, not exclusively about cars, but just in general. He is one of the smartest people I've ever met. And I'll be like, hey, what does this do? And I'll like point to a random button and he'll just like for 20 minutes on what it does and like the history, who made it. Like it's amazing. It's really, really cool. So getting to learn about it from someone like him has been really, really cool. Especially when we take his RSX to like a car meet and people know who he is just based on his car. It's really awesome.
See, and that's the thing. I was like, well, I mean, you said it earlier, like you keep your circle small and you want it to be influential. There is that law. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You need to always surround yourself with people who are doing better than you, who are looking to better themselves so that you are. I love chasing people. I love being around people who are better at the craft and I will always tell them, hey, if you're learning something new, I'll learn by watching you. I don't need to be better than you. I want to try and be as good as you are now, because by the time I'm as good as you are now, you're going to be so much better that it's still something to chase. It's still putting that out there. It's leaving that carrot out there in front of you, but it's like it's in a positive way. And a lot of people they mistake that. So
yeah, you definitely yeah.
Well, and it doesn't seem like it's a distraction either. Like it's starting to become part of who you are. You very sneakily like brought it in, like, oh, by the way.
Yeah. Why wouldn't I? It's something that like it's the weirdest butterfly effect ever, because I never really would have thought to bring it into my brand or just who I am online, but just getting genuinely interested in it, because there are things that like I've become interested in, but then it will fade away. But this is something that like it's starting to mean a lot to me, and I don't really know why. But now I'm like looking at ways that I can make like vinyl stickers as merch that are like my logo or something. I just, it's something that's now clicking in my brain. I'm like, oh wait, this could be really, really cool. And I'm like starting to post my car and I'm like, this is really fun. Like, I really, really like this. I feel like a video game character.
Well, and you're doing it instead of like a lot of the girls I know that are into there. Oh, you're such a car girl. Oh yeah, whatever. And they catch a lot of shit for it. I have one friend in particular who I'm watching her she is legitimately one hell of a mechanic. Like, holy shit.
That's awesome.
She knows her shit. And she's been buying some junkers and turning them into really quality rides. And people are just trashing her because at the same time she was starting to build her cars, she happened to get a boob job. And they're like, oh, you just want to be famous. You just want to be this. She goes, no, I wanted bigger tits and I like cars. But nobody's taking her seriously. And she's an actual contender. And I watch a lot of people even in professional racing, it's still like you have to be a sex symbol to be good. That's bullshit.
Right.
That's absolute bullshit. There's a couple. Kayla Morton is a racer out of Oklahoma. I think she lives in Texas now, but she's out of Oklahoma, and she's one of those racers that a lot of people didn't take her seriously because she was cute. The girl is fearless. Literally, pedal to the metal. Car will be on fire. She's still going to drive the wheels off of it, and yet she still has to fight the whole. Well, you're just a pretty girl. It's horseshit. It's horseshit, and it bothers me on so many levels. So the fact that you've managed to kind of, like I say, it was very quiet. I just know, like, and it's only on, and like I said, you're like different people according to which account I'm logged into. But on my photography one, the one that I do most of my artwork stuff, I started seeing cars, and I was like, interesting. This is different. And
because I started posting the Hummer, and when I was really into Teslas, I was posting with Teslas. And I've posted with my car up north a couple of times as well. But now I'm like, this one.
Yeah.
And so it's been quiet and it's been a little slow. But
it's working for you.
I think you're doing it right.
I think you're doing fine.
Yeah, maybe I'll pop out with like some merch that's like the vinyl sticker. If I can figure out how to do it, then yeah, absolutely.
I want one. I got a couple companies I use to do specifically that. They just did the tattoos for me for making my car look like a transformer. They just did the tattoos for me, so I'll email you the hookup on that one.
Please, I would love that.
Yeah, I will definitely, because that's what they do. Like I said, if it's a part of who you are, I don't care what it is. I think that, well, okay, you said Lana Del Rey. There's one. Lana Del Rey's magic to me is not her talent, not her music, not anything. It's that her real life is her real life, and she's completely transparent about it, even if it's embarrassing. Tom Holland is another one of those. Tom Holland is one of those people where he's just kind of like oblivious to that he's famous.
Oh yeah, and I haven't heard anything about him in a while.
Well, he's been working on shit. Like I had the most recent story. He drunkenly took a call from the guys at Disney about doing more Spider-Man movies. He was drunk. He'd been out doing like Geeks Who Drink. He was at home in England, so I can't remember what he called it. I was at the pub, but he was drunk. And he gets the call, and he somehow managed to talk them into greenlighting 2 or 3 more movies. Huh. And he's like telling the story, kind of mortified, like, and then
funny.
Well, and then somebody mentioned something about Zendaya, and he's like, "All right, I need to set the record straight. We've been dating this whole time. We've been dating since before y'all knew it. We're still dating.
I knew it.
Just stop, okay? Stop speculating." Leave our relationship out of it. The whole reason we kept it is because with Euphoria, she has to maintain that level of being single and sexy, and it's easier to not talk about me. So that's what we do. It's part of our job, but that doesn't mean we're not really fucking happy. Go away. And I dig that. I think that's really cool. You know,
you know what I'm really curious about right now is Evan Peters. I wonder how he's doing after immersing himself in something so intense as Dahmer.
I wondered that about Paul Bettany after playing the Unabomber too, Demon.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And so I wonder if like playing Dahmer or playing any of those characters. For one, I believe that I obviously, yes, I study a lot of serial killers, but I really got into it because I was neighbors kind of with BTK in Wichita.
Mm-hmm.
Like the guy lived right around the corner. I had interactions with Denny Rader, and I had no idea until he was arrested. Like he was a pillar of the fucking community, and it blew my mind. His daughter's one of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life, and yet he's this monster who killed all these women. And so you got to wonder in playing some of these characters how far you take it. Zac Efron playing Bundy.
Yep.
He had a harder time. It feels like in some of the interviews, not so much right when you know, Living with a Monster came out, but now, after more's come out, more of the truth and some of the issues, he said he had a harder time playing such a bastard to this woman who loved him than being the killer.
Yeah.
The killer part was that's the character, but he was still this really shitty boyfriend, and he goes, that really fucked with me.
Right.
So you look at Dahmer.
I never saw it, and I'm a little nervous too, but that's very, very interesting. I was wondering about him too.
You will see a Zac Efron in a different light. You definitely, as an actor, you forget about 10 minutes in that it's Zac Efron.
Yeah,
he does very well at it, and that's cool. That was the thing with Paul Bettany, who usually plays these lighthearted British characters, and then he plays the Unabomber, and he nailed it. He really did.
Right.
He's never really talked about it. He's never really had much experience. He just kind of like, nope, we're not going there. Joaquin Phoenix doesn't talk about the Joker.
I wouldn't remember him. Yeah.
You know,
but not in a bad way, in like a that's intense kind of way.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the Joker, that isn't a DC movie. That's not a comic book movie. That is a commentary on the state of mental illness in the United States.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
And so when you watch that film and you really realize like I was really kind of against him being in that role until I was about 8 minutes into the movie and he's laughing on the bus. And I'm like, fuck, he's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just fucking nailed it. I mean, some people are like, yeah, they are this person. But with that, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. And then the way that movie was written, directed, filmed, there's so much that went into that in such a... I'm a big fan of the new Batman movie because I think Robert Pattinson plays the best Bruce Wayne ever put to film. Is he the best Batman? Not necessarily, but he's the best Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And to me, that's more, he's more Bruce than Batman. He struggles more. Bruce is the character. He's really Batman. Bruce is the character he has to play. And I really dug the way that Pattinson portrayed that. I thought that was very cool.
Right.
So, and I hate most of the DC movies lately, so that's saying something. Yeah. I was a Tim Burton fan. I'm still Michael Keaton as Batman to me. So
I got you. Yeah, for sure.
But I think that when you do immerse yourself in a character, but I think that there are people that in music, if you watch how Bohemian Rhapsody and that album was recorded with Queen, the mental disparity and anguish that band went through creating an album that then their label literally turned around and said, we're going to put out I'm in Love with My Car because that's the one that the kids will like. And they went, fuck you, and walked. Can you imagine that in that time?
Intense.
Yeah. Just taking that sense of responsibility of, no, we created art. We're going to put out our art the way we want it to be. I think that any artist will go through that in creating anything like that.
Yeah. That's the ultimate test of your soul and what is it that you truly desire.
Why I get into, like, I love film. I love filmmaking. I miss it. I would love to get out. I'm doing 3 music videos in the next 6 to 8 months, and I'm super excited to be doing that again. But it's one of those things where you can. Well, you've done it. You filmed a video, and when I'm bringing my vision to somebody else, and then letting them interpret from there. Mm-hmm. More than just the music, because the video doesn't always match what somebody's internal is. You don't have this. You have this idea of what you think the song's about, and then you see the video. It's like, right. Oh, that's what it's about, or is it? And I love that. That's what I love about little tricks you can do, and the things where you can just make it. It's like a magic trick.
Of course. Something interesting about filming music videos is they never ever come out the way that I picture it in my mind, but sometimes that's not a bad thing because everyone has their own interpretation of something. What you view when watching a music video may be very, very different from what I view, but the videos on paper that I have made are never what I picture in my mind. That's not a bad or a good thing. It's just kind of, it is what it is.
Yeah. Something real. So. And music is so... Even pop music, people say pop music doesn't have a soul, but you can't tell me Prince wasn't just spilling his guts out every performance.
I think pop music has an incredible amount of soul. It makes me sad when people say that. I've heard it quite a few times. And when I was like much, much, much younger, I was the kind of person to dunk on pop music because it was pop music. But I don't know. Absolutely. I see it with a lot of different pop artists now. I think that there's so much soul and so much, I don't know, music is interesting. It's not a tangible technology, but it's one of the most important things that we need as people, along with art. Yeah, there's a lot of soul in it. Absolutely. It makes me sad when I see like metal, like elitists who are just like, pop music sucks or rap music sucks because it's blah 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 because it's popular. I don't know.
I think a lot of that has to do with more like the like. I mean, I'll trash some metal artists because it's not because I dislike the artist, but because I don't like their fan base.
Valid.
Like I can love a band, but hate the people that love their music.
Of course, that's valid.
How many? There's some really good metal bands out there. There's some amazing punk bands out there that never meant to appeal to skinheads. But they do.
For sure.
Yeah, well, this has been a long one, but it's been fucking great.
Absolutely.
I am going to, with your permission, of course, put a couple of your tracks on. I always put music at the beginning and the end. So, cool. And I have them. So if you're cool with that, I'll put those on.
Yeah.
Though I always ask everybody, what are 2 songs you just cannot stop listening to right now?
Other people's?
Uh-huh.
Let me think about it for 2 seconds.
Oh, take
there's a few different.
This is a tough one. This is one of those questions when I hit people with, they're like, "Oh, fuck you, man." Like.
I know, right? I'm gonna say "Pantomime" by Orgy.
Okay.
And maybe "Dance with the Devil" by Breaking Benjamin.
That's a lesser known one. That's a good one.
Very good song. Very good band.
I'm an oddly. Most of my friends don't really like Breaking Benjamin, but they're like, it's just not heavy enough, or it's just not. But God, those guys literally. They're one of those bands that I feel like if you threw them on stage with Pantera or any of those 90s metal bands, they would just throw down. Yeah. They would be that heavy, that hard, and do it like it was the most natural shit ever.
That's the kind of music, like they really bear the soul in it, you know? Oh, another person who I've been really into Ghostman. You know why? Because a lot of people have compared me to Ghostman, and it made me want to go listen to him more because I listened to him, but not very much. And I was like, oh, I like this. So I've been listening to a lot of.
I can see that comparison. I wouldn't have made that connection, I don't think, but I could see the comparison.
I hope, yeah. I mean, I hope it's a good thing. I mean, yeah.
No, it is. That's one of those. Ghostman is one of those interesting, like, well, and I feel this way about a lot of. I'm an old school hip hop guy. And so it's hard for me to get into some of the newer hip hop and some of the just the blending of genres and stuff. But like Post Malone blows my fucking mind.
I love Post Malone. He's
like,
incredible.
Especially live. Like, oh my god.
Have you heard him do like rock style vocals and like metal style vocals?
Oh yeah, his live performance is so much more than a hip hop show. And when he and Travis Barker and all them did the Nirvana covers during COVID, and they were in different cities playing to get. Holy mother of God, was that amazing? He just kills it. It was having that much talent and being that comfortable being that weird and having this, devil may care attitude. I just really respect it. And so there are some artists, and Ghostman's one of them, where at first I was like, I don't really completely understand. And then I had a bunch of people go, well, how do you not understand when you go from like singing about love, but your first line is, I can't believe how much I fucking hate you. How can you not get what he's talking about? So I started reading the lyrics and I was like, oh, yeah, this dude's actually speaking truth.
Yeah, I really like him.
There's a lot of heart in that. And I dig that. So. Cool. Well, I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, oh my god, thank you.
This has been amazing. Awesome. I will get this edited and cut tomorrow. This will be out on Sunday, so it'll be right around the corner.
That's awesome.
Cool with it. I will be tagging you on social media. Share with it as you will. It's not like I'm asking. I'm not like, oh, I expect you to. No. And if you want a copy, I'll get you a raw copy for yourself to do with as you please. You can cut it up and do whatever. Cool. I believe in co-ownership. In the meantime, stay safe out there. Florida is crazy, and Florida
oh my god, right? Literally,
and the Burmese pythons. Because what the hell? I'm not scared of snakes, but there's a lot of pythons in. It's weird to me. Yeah,
I got two right here.
Yeah, I was watching a documentary about all the alien snakes that are in Florida now, and they're like, yeah, they're kind of killing everything, and I was like, this is kind of terrifying. But yeah. So you keep safe. I do appreciate your time. And to everybody listening, make sure you're checking. I mean, everything's under BABYCHAOS, correct?
Yeah. So
I know, and the easiest way is go to your website, and you have and then everything.
Go www.itsbabychaos.com.
Yeah.
All my social medias are at itsbabychaos, and my music is under BABYCHAOS, being one word, under everything that you can probably find music on.
I mean, I'm guessing most of the people that are going to watch and listen to this episode know who you are, but the people who don't, make sure you go check that out, because this is one of those things like I take music very seriously. All of us who do these interviews, we take music very seriously. And the fact that I definitely enjoy it, and I will be getting things to you, and all of my best wishes. We've only got a couple weeks left in the year. I look forward to iconography coming out and anything else. And I will be emailing you some stuff about car shit here shortly too.
Yay! Oh my god, cool. Thank you so much. It's been really, really cool.
All right, have a good one, everybody. Stay safe. Check in on each other.